Hey, what's up guys? My name is Moda and welcome back to the Mining Stacker YouTube channel. Today's video, we do have yet another new mid-tier ALEO ASIC. This is not going to be the second one. We just had the debut of the gold shell being the first one just a few days ago. I'm going to talk about the AE1 Lite coming from IceRiver. We do have pricing, specs, release dates, all that good stuff. We'll look at profitability compared to the competition and just kind of risk factors and our overall thoughts on this thing. Okay, if that sounds good guys, stay tuned. Let's get right to this damn thing. This is video number 2 today, back to back. We did have two big pieces of news. This is number 2. This is the other big release. The ALEO AE1 Lite coming from IceRiver. Kind of almost weird calling this one a mid-tier unit, but when we compare it to Goldshell's mid-tier unit, kind of crazy how it outperforms it at such a massive difference in efficiency. We'll cover that here in a second, but again, form factor is going to be the same as the other little light units, which is pretty interesting. So far, I've had the little KS2 Lite, and that one, my main intrigue there was just to see how this new form factor does over time. So far, I have had zero issues with it. My son's managing that one. He's had zero downtime with that thing, which kind of speaks good because, again, that was kind of the interest with it, is how is that one going to perform? How is that PSU going to perform over a period of time, just because we know with these other newer ones, that's going to be the next in line before the big boy, right? So far it's been holding up. The one definite complaint is the lack of Wi-Fi. I think to this day, they still have not officially released it. Mine are on Ethernet, so I don't really care. But that has definitely been a big disappointment, and honestly, I wouldn't even consider that being a thing with this one. Hopefully they get their shit together and they're able to get that going, but that was definitely one huge annoyance with that one, just because, again, for a lot of people, that's one of the big benefits with this type of unit, right? Being able to use it, not necessarily portably, but easily move it from room to room as a heater, things of that sort. Something to consider there. But let's look at overall profitability, because that's what we want to look at. So overall, the unit's $2,800. Shipping date is April 20th to May 15th, meaning expect the end of May, sometime in June potentially. Let's look at the profitability here, and this is going to be the standout. Like we mentioned before, that even with ALEO's price going down as much as it has, the hash rate going up, these bigger units are going to look extremely impressive, at least until they release, and then we get the effects of the overall hash rate increasing, right? And to what extent, it's really hard to determine with these little guys, right? Once we get the announcements of the big boys, we can make better predictions because they're just so much more massive. We do have more consistent numbers, right? With these little guys, it's extremely hard to predict, right? In reality, kind of almost have to wait at this point. If you're buying it before the release of the big boy units, you're kind of gambling to see how much time you have until that big boy unit comes out. Okay, so that's why for me, at this time during this little hype cycle, it's not super appealing, only because, again, we have it confirmed that Bitmain's going to be releasing a unit. Okay, it's not on the rumor mill, or potentially they have confirmed. Now, we don't know the timeline though. Okay, will it be next week, next few months, end of year? We have no idea. Okay, but understand that that is your biggest risk factor here, because again, the profitability is going to look amazing. Like, man, 500 watts is making 42 bucks a day. I understand that's going to change drastically and very quick once those big units, because again, just for comparison's sake, one big boy unit will be 7 of these things, of the AE1 Lites. Okay, so again, when they release that thing, it's going to be massive. And even as the gold shell, this unit comes out, I don't think too many people are going to be buying it, right? And we'll talk about here why. They needed a price reduction. They did actually reduce it further. We'll compare that here in a second. But just make sure you do fully understand, again, this profitability number is going to change drastically. Not just, 20%, 30%. There's possibility for it to change massively, just depending on how long till the big boys come out. If it's just this guy and the little guys for an extended period of time, then that's your best case scenario. That's what you want to see. But if you were to get this guy and 3 weeks later Bitmain drops their thing, then RIP, right? It's literally, you need to get as much time mining with these guys as possible. Okay. Now, in terms of price, when we compare it, again, it's $2,800 is the MSRP. That's about what some of the resellers are having it at. Nhash has it at $2,879. The biggest competitor, which is the other mid-tier unit, being a 2,000 watter. This is where it's crazy, right? It's 230 mega hash, 2,000 watts for the gold shell unit versus 300 mega hash, right? Significant difference. And then massive difference in the efficiency. 2000 watts to 500 watts, massive difference. And again, for me, efficiency is longevity. Because even when the IceRiver, when their big boy unit comes out, chances are it's going to be the same exact efficiency, same exact chips that are in that thing. So as long as the big boy unit's profitable, this guy's going to be profitable. May not be the same story for the gold shell unit if ALEO's price continues to struggle. Obviously, if ALEO takes off, they're all going to be profitable. But I like to think of things a worst case scenario. Maybe we stay sideways for a little while. The peak comes in November and it's just a quick ass peak and then a quick ass drop within a month. And we're back to the levels we're at now, right? If that's the case, I definitely want to be with the most efficient unit. Okay? Because again, like we've mentioned, efficiency, longevity, that's one big thing to factor in. Now the factor in is pricing. Okay? You are going to be paying a premium because of the profitability and kind of being early. Okay, just understand that, again, one big boy unit is going to be about 7 of these things. Okay, so being at around 3,000 bucks, 7, do you think a $21,000 ASIC is justifiable? Or do you think that's kind of overpriced? In my opinion, it's overpriced, right? And depending on what happens, depending on how hard the hash rate gets hit these next few weeks and what ALEO's price action does these next few months, kind of will determine those things. Although ultimately, this thing has been kind of pumping. Could it be because of the excitement of these ASICs? We don't know, but it was just at 11 cents not that long ago, so damn near a 2x here just in the matter of weeks. It's currently at 21 cents, but when we really zoom out is when it gets freaking disgusting, right? This thing was at $6 before, and it's currently down to 21 cents. Currently ranked number 493. $77 million market cap. Obviously has room for upside, but can still get worse, right? Especially considering now we had this little pump. Who's to say that things kind of don't go back a little bit just because all the tariff news? It's hard to say what happens here, right? But at the end of the day, it's just going to be dependent on the hash rate, right? It's going to have a lot of risk factors, and that's the key thing here. It's very risky. Any of these little overpriced ASICs, it's risky, right? There is going to be a time where this thing can potentially make more sense. For me, I would maybe have more confidence once the bigger boy unit is announced. Then we can see that price there. We can see Bitmain's price, IceRiver's price, and then you can kind of justify the AE1 Lite, right? Because chances are that unit may not be 20, 30 grand for the big boy unit, right? Meaning the price of this guy would go down in comparison, okay? But in reality, we don't know. Maybe 2 months from now, the market does start turning around. This thing is up to 50, 60 cents, which again, because of how much down it's gone, that wouldn't be the most surprising thing in the world. And the profitability number may still be through the roof. Even with these guys already being on the network, maybe the first batch of the big boys being on the network, it can still be profitable just because, again, how much upside potential it has. Okay, but again, key things to factor in. The hash rate, which again, for me, it's hard to even really do calculations with these small guys, right? What I would be more concerned with, definitely 100%, is the big boy units. So if you are willing to take the chance, it's kind of risky being so expensive, right? Again, if it's like $1,500, $1,000, kind of a why not kind of thing. To me, the max should have been like $19.99. $3,000, especially considering ALEO's price right now, is just much more appealing if you're that into ALEO just to potentially buy the coin, right? The one that would be appealing, that would be cheaper, would be the AE0, which to me, arguably, even with this price reduction now, is overpriced because of the price point of this guy, okay, which is what makes it extremely weird. Reason I'm saying that is the AE0 MSRP is what? $800, okay? This AE1 Lite is what? 5 of those units. $800 multiplied by 5, 4 grand. Maybe 10% because you're getting a discount for buying the bulkier unit. To me, the AE0 is still overpriced, right? Realistically, it should have been maybe $699, $700, 5 of them, $3,500. It's about a 20% discount for buying the AE1 Lite. $699 would be more appealing to potentially get a slice just in case maybe you do get a while without having to worry about the hash rate. Like, it's lower risk in a sense, right? Because you're putting up less capital. Okay, at these price points though, it's hard. One thing I will say also, I kind of wish they wouldn't have done what they did. I really wish they would have announced both of them at the same time, right? The A0's price literally just dropped days ago. Why did they do this so suddenly and such a significant drop from the AE0 price, right? Because again, it's a massive price drop for the AE0 to begin with, going from 2,000 to $800, and now this AE1 Lite just days later is another significant discount from that portion, which to me sends the freaking spidey senses that what do you think's happening here, right? There was initial suspicion from all of us right off the bat when they reduced the price of the AE0 that aggressively. Why would they do that? Because another competitor's coming in. Who? Potentially Bitmain. Maybe word on the street is, maybe they're hearing things, maybe they just want to front run it. But it seems so extremely suspicious to have a super aggressive price cut on the AE0 and then days later announce the next gen unit with a even more aggressive price cut. Right? Realistically, I would have been less thrown off if they would have just done both of them at the same time. To me, it seems almost like a panic move, if anything. Right? If you're thinking strategically, looking at it, that's the way I see it. That's the way I see them doing a release this far after. If they were confident what they were doing, they would have announced both of them at the same time at different price points. Right? The A0 would be $800, A1 Lite would be like $3,200. Right? But again, them doing such a drastic cut, it seems frantic, right? It seems like a panic almost. Okay, so that's how I would take it. I would take it as it seems like they got some intelligence that maybe the other guy's coming out soon. We don't know though, right? That's tinfoil hat stuff, but that's the way I view it, right? I'm trying to stay ahead of the game. If you're interested in any of these things, you have to think that way. You have to think worst case scenario, and you have to try to think ahead. What do you think is likely to happen next? Okay, that way you can kind of stay ahead of it, because at the end of the day, that's all we can kind of do. It's strategy, it's looking at things, what is the most likely next step, because that's probably what's going to happen, or your suspicion, as we've seen, right? We've been following these games for these past few years, and we've been able to call it, right? Will it happen, won't it happen? We don't know. Again, they may just be front running it, or maybe they were able to get more chip orders than they were previously expecting. We don't know, but at the end of the day, if that's your biggest concern and then they're giving you these signals that it seems kind of likely that it's happening soon, I would be kind of standoffish, right? So we're going to have to wait and see, right? Because realistically, even let's say it does happen, even let's say next week Bitmain does release their unit, what have they also done historically? Price this thing through the roof, right? Because again, we know that it's going to be 7 of these things. Profitability, if they throw it on this calculator, is going to be $280 a day. So what are they going to do? They're going to put it at 30K MSRP or 25, probably something ludicrous like that anyway, right? So factor that in. If that does happen, what have we seen? IceRiver responds with, instead of it being 30K to match Bitmain unit, they go down to 10K or something, right? It's the whole game. It may play out quickly like it did before. It may not. We don't know, but that's kind of what I'm thinking, right? I'm trying to think ahead. I'm trying to think of the best case scenarios, worst case scenarios. Look at what's happened in the past. Look at the playbook. Again, like we've mentioned with all these, Caspa gave us the playbook for all these other new ones that are coming. Lithium, the Radiant, the ALEO units. Think about that, right? So just something to consider there. For me personally, that's how I view it. I try to view strategy. So not only looking at profitability, hash rate, and how it's going to affect it, but what is next in line? I personally, if I'm going to buy an ASIC, it's because I want the latest and greatest, most efficient. And if it seems pretty likely that we're going to have a more efficient unit, makes me very standoffish. Unless the price is so appealing that it makes it worth rolling the dice. So for example, if the AE1 Lite was under $2,000, like $19.99, definitely a little bit more enticing. Obviously, the cheaper it gets, the more enticing it'd be. Is that going to happen? Probably not, unless Bitmain comes in crazy. We don't know, right? They've kind of been all over the place as far as pricing goes. Sometimes the pricing is ultra greedy, sometimes it's ultra aggressive, right? So it's just really going to depend, and it's really going to depend on this thing, because again, this thing goes up to 40, 50 cents here in the short term, these next few weeks, next few months. Everything changes, right? So keep those things in mind, guys, when you're buying these little box miners that are definitely overpriced. Again, $3,000 little 500 watt unit is overpriced. You're paying based on the profitability. You're not paying on the cost of the unit, you're paying based on the profitability. Right? This is what they're basing that price off of. And when you know that this isn't going to be the same by the time this thing releases, That's how you got to think ahead, right? Be smart about it. Look at it. Could it pay off though? Absolutely, right? Being under 3 grand, if things stay sideways, again, mining sentiment is super low right now. Nobody wants to buy shit because of profitability, and then throw all the terrible bullshit on top of that. It's also possible that this thing drops and we don't get a larger unit until farther down the road, 3-4 months down the road. Or on the inverse, maybe 3 or 4 freaking days. Right? We don't know. That's the risk. Just understand, if you're buying these little box miners that are overpriced at these levels, you're gambling on that, right? It may pay off massively, or you may get wrecked in an instant, right? So just make sure you do fully understand that. Don't just look at this and be like, oh man, I'm gonna make 42 bucks a day. My ROI is gonna be blah, blah, blah. It's not going to be. Hash rate and difficulty is going to continue to go up. ALEO's price is going to continue to be volatile. Will it be to the upside or the downside? We don't know, but this isn't one that you would look at it, okay, let me calculate ROI, because it's not going to be consistent. It's going to swing wildly one way or the other, or we can just go sideways. ALEO can stay between 15 to 20 cents. Nobody has interest. This tariff thing keeps BTC at 85K for the next 3-4 months, and that's your best case scenario, right? What you don't want to see is a wild price swing in either direction, right? Because again, if it goes up massively, what's going to happen? They're going to drop that big boy like that. Okay, and also these prices are going to go up like that. Even on the flip side is not so great for you, because if it goes down to the point now where these little box miners, all these others are not profitable, they're going to want to release the big eye based off of that also, right? So any swing in whether it's positive or negative, it's going to trigger the faster release of the big boy unit. Chances are that thing is probably already done or in production. They're just waiting for the timing to announce the pre-order, whatever it is. So I guarantee you, if ALEO were to go to $1 tomorrow, we'd see pre-order things for Bitmain for whenever it's going to release, be it in a few weeks or in a few months, because we've seen that, right? We've seen them do pre-orders freaking 6 months ahead of time. So as soon as they have the reason to, because like with Script and Doge, that the price was freaking crazy and the profitability was crazy, they're going to try to get that money when they can, right? So just think of all these things, guys. Even if you're not interested in this unit, I like to talk about the complete process so you can get kind of the mindset, right? Whether it's this ALEO unit, whatever other unit comes out, this is at least my thought process. This is the way I think about it. This is the way I look at it. And this is how I kind of decide what I want to do and why. Not just, oh, don't get this, you're going to get wrecked. This is why. These are the risk factors. This is the potential. This is your worst case. This is your best case. And if your worst case looks pretty good, then that's kind of what triggers like, okay, this might not be a bad buy, right? But if your best case is pretty shitty, not a big fan, right? So to each their own, though. Everybody has different ways to value these things or different reasons as to why they purchase it. Again, at $3,000, you're not going to buy it just to support the network. If you want to support the network, you're going to wait for the big boy unit to come out, these prices to tumble because the profitability is going to tumble. Then that's the time you want to do those things, right? So again, everybody has their strategy. Everybody has their viewpoint. All of us are completely different. And a lot of people are complaining because of the IceRiver KOL thing. Oh, everybody's going to be shilling it. All of us have very different perspectives on what we value, what we look at, all that good stuff. I just like to share my personal insight that isn't influenced by a damn thing. Like, yes, I do have a thing with IceRiver. Yes, there is an affiliate link in the description if you're interested. But I'm going to talk about it from my perspective, not an overall generic viewpoint. How I look at it, how I value it, what I buy it as an at-home miner on a high electric rate, right? So to each your own. I just love giving my opinion. I love blabbing about it in case you haven't noticed. Let me know in the comments, guys. What do you guys think about this thing? Is it worth the risk at this point? Do you think it's going to pan out? Do you think it's not going to pan out? Do you think the price should be lower? Again, for me, that's been a very big gripe with these smaller units. When you know that there's big boys down the pipeline, the price needs to be ultra aggressive to kind of get more people to want to take the risk, because maybe it pans out for more people. Okay, at that point, because we know the price is going to go lower and lower as profitability goes down, why not get the best of both worlds, right? Give your brand a better reputation by offering a more fair price. Potentially more people do make that a return, and it becomes worthwhile, right? Because at the end of the day, we know that's what's going to happen to these units. This unit's $3,000 now. 3 months from now, it might be $200, or you might even struggle to give the damn things away, right? So just think about those things. Consider those things. Please let me know in the comments, guys. Thank you for watching, and I am out.